Josh wiped his eyes in confusion, wondering what was about to happen.
I know what's going to happen,
he said to himself, thinking that he knew what was ahead of him, but in fact he had no idea.
Let's start the podcast, Chris,
he said, but there was no one called Chris. There was no one else in the room. Maybe he was talking to the picture to his left, or to his computer screen, or to the empty packet of tissues in front of him. Who knows?
Oh God, let's fucking go, yeah?
Yeah, sure.
Get in position, come on.
Well, what are you going to do to me?
Just move.
Yeah, right. Can I have my tea? When are you ready?
I'm gonna fucking headbutt you. Hello and welcome to PodcastFTL on GFTL on YouTube and possibly Audioboo, depending on how much time we have to actually set that kind of rubbish up.
Yeah.
Hey Chris, how's it going?
Yeah, not bad.
Cool.
Alright.
So you've been spending a lot of time. What have you and your friends been doing? It's a league for
it's a,
predicting F1 results.
F1 Prediction League, which we've been doing all season. And it's, well, when we're recording this, it's the tense moments before the final results. Mm-hmm. But when this goes out, not only will we know who won my league, but we'll also know who wins the World Championship. So
it's funny how those two coincide.
Convenient. I mean, I think they're sort of stealing our thunder a bit by having theirs the day after ours.
Yeah.
You know, they could have at least given it a week or so, but what are you going to do? These big, expensive companies ruining our little events. A bit like the Olympics, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what are your predictions?
I think I've made my predictions, actually. I'm pretty sure I've done mine. But I don't think I've put them on here. Oh, I have to make sure I do that before qualifying starts. Yeah, I think I'm predicting Hamilton on pole. It's the important thing.
Yeah, me too, yeah.
You've got no idea what we're on about.
F1?
Yeah. So you think Hamilton will be on pole?
Yeah.
What's your reasoning for that?
Because he's doing really well at the moment.
Well, he can't win the World Championship, so...
Yeah, but it doesn't mean he can't be on pole.
True. How's he been doing this weekend?
He's alright, you know. Had a weekend doing stuff all over the place,
yeah.
You know. He's a busy man, so I can't tell you exactly what he's been up to.
Yeah, what's he up to next season?
He is moving to a different team.
Yeah, what team?
Force India.
No.
Red Bull.
Wrong.
McLaren.
Wrong, he's there already.
The one with the cars.
Yes.
They go really fast for some reason.
Yes.
And they're kind of shaped like planes but with wheels.
Yes.
Yeah, one of those.
Yes, which one?
The red one?
No.
Is it silver?
It is silver.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of that one.
No.
It's got some stupid name, hasn't it? Like Penis Waffle.
Yes, he's racing for Penis Waffle F1. That's exactly correct. Well done.
Penis Waffle
have
silver
a gold
car.
star.
Silver
No,
star.
it's a silver car, but you get a gold star.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Rhyming.
I'm a poet.
That's how we flow on this podcast, innit, bruv? Okay.
Sure. James Bond.
Right.
We're a bit late in the whole talking about James Bond, but we've only just seen it, to be fair.
We've only just seen it because we haven't had a lot of time to spare, because we're very busy people with very important things going on. Which isn't true at all. I just realised that we've got the mic on very loud. Hang on.
So?
Put it down to 70%. There we go.
Okay.
Okay, so now we can talk without actually spiking.
Yes, James Bond.
Mm-hmm. He is a man who is in the
Whose
MI
name you want to touch.
but you mustn't touch.
Good Simpsons reference there.
I love The Simpsons. They permeate through the entirety of popular culture, and it's amazing and kind of awesome. Yes, James Bond. What did you think of James Bond?
I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was really good. Except
and you
for,
thought it was amazing
except
because it was
for-
really good and pretty
Yeah,
fun.
well,
it was
except-
a good film.
I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but except for the demise of a... No, it's
What?
not
That's-
really. No, that's not. No,
No, that's a terrible
yeah.
not spoiler.
How can I not spoil it?
What are you trying to say?
Except for the blank of a blank, which should be treason.
Oh,
Yes.
right, yes. Chris was complaining
I think
about
that-
something that happens at the end because it's a crime against British filmmaking,
Yes, crime.
but not because it's done badly. It's because of who it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, once the once it's on DVD, maybe I'll say what I mean, or maybe once it's not in the cinema.
Mm.
Go for that. But yeah, except for that, I really enjoyed it. Really,
Yeah.
I liked the appearance of the old Aston. I thought that was awesome.
It is a very beautiful car. And
and all the little jokey bits, like where he threatens to eject a seat M out of the car and stuff like that. It's just brilliant.
Yeah.
What did you? Well, I
That's
know
what-
what you thought of it. What did you think of it?
I didn't think it was a very good film.
What? I sucked the tea back in rather than spit it out because I didn't want to make a mess. To make that noise.
Ah,
Yeah.
I was wondering what you were doing there. I was
Yeah.
very confused.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was a very good film at all.
Your reasoning is...
The pacing was off. One bit at the beginning where Bond walks out of a building and gets in a car with a lady
Yes.
who is driving a car, and then is very nonchalantly told that, "Oh, we're in a car chase now," and there's no build up to it. Doesn't obviously become a car chase. It's just, oh, we're chasing this car. By the way, and the action's really kind of dull, to be honest.
What, in the car chase?
Yeah,
No, I
The
thought
car
it was a pretty
flips.
good car chase.
a man on a motorcycle falls over. I think we've seen that a million times.
Well, yeah, but
And then
that's
someone
a,
shoots.
That's a car chase. That's what... I think it was sort of a standard, decent car chase.
Mm-hmm.
Where they went on cars and then
Chase.
bikes over buildings and then train.
Yeah.
So it was all pretty good, really.
So I didn't understand why it was supposed to be particularly interesting. I mean, I was okay with the fact that the plot wasn't overcomplicated, because sometimes, like with spy films like Tinker Tailor, I mean, that's a classic, so you can't really mess with that. But things like that, you can't really get into it quite as much as just a pure action film with a very simple plot. Here's the bad guy, we're going after him, we're going to do these cool things until we catch him. So I like that. And with the last two, I mean, they haven't been simple plot lines, they haven't been overly complicated, but, they've had some intrigue in them. There was very little intrigue in this one. It was
What do you mean
kind
very
of
little
dry.
intrigue?
I mean, you could see every beat of the plot coming. I mean, that's not one of my major problems with the film. I think one of my other major problems is that the last two films were amazing. They were a lot of fun. They were really pretty. They were done with a really nice aesthetic, or whatever you call it, for films. I don't know what that is. But they knit together really nicely in most ways. I mean, they got problems, but whatever. And they are definitely my favourite Bond films because they're so different from the old Bond films, and it's really refreshing. This new one, they've tried to reintroduce the old style into this fresh kind of what's the name of the film? The Bourne film style, which is basically what the new Bond films were, but kind of classier than Bourne. They tried to inject the old kind of off-the-cuff humour and weird. I don't know what you call it. It's kind of
sort of
gung-ho, chic kind of gadgets, things,
yeah, but
weird.
That's the stereotypical Bond, really.
But it's not this Bond. It's not Daniel Craig. The character that I know him as doesn't fit that storyline.
Well, yeah, but also, I think you've got to look at Casino Royale. I can't remember it fantastically, but it's sort of Bond has just become 007. Early on, am I right? In Casino Royale, I believe.
You know, I think, yeah, maybe.
And then in this one, in Skyfall, Bond is older and sort of established, and there's sort of this sort of ongoing thing in the film of sort of I'm too old for this shit sort of thing with him and with M that sort of goes on through the whole thing. So I think in the
I was
first
wondering
two,
whether they were using that as an excuse to make it.
Well, no, I don't.
old style.
I don't think they were making it as an excuse. I think it was a case of
terrible reason.
Well, no, I think it's sort of you had young Bond who was very fiery and sort of a bit, rough around the edges, and the Daniel Craig first two, and then they've sort of said Bond's older now, and he's sort of in his maturing, he's become this slightly more stereotypical cocky pun intended Bond. I that's what I sort of thought. And I like the
but
old
they didn't
corny Bond
show
stuff.
you that in the film. They just said, "Oh, I'm getting too old for this shit."
To be
Except
fair-
that's for a different franchise.
To be fair, well, actually, no, I don't know if that. Well, actually, that happens very early on. Would that be spoiling it? Something that happens very early on to Bond. I don't know if that's spoiling a plot.
It's in the trailer, isn't it?
Is it?
The bit where he gets shot off the train.
Ah, right, okay. Yeah, so he supposedly almost died, gone off to hiding and become addicted to pills and alcohol. And yeah, I thought if they were saying that we were bringing Bond back into this corny Bond, I think they did it in a good way.
I think they did it in a terrible way.
The only thing I didn't like now I
the two
think about
styles
it-
don't mix. It doesn't make sense as how this very strong, serious character suddenly melts into this wishy-washy masculine joke of a rubbish. The jokes were terrible. They weren't funny in the way the old films. Genuinely funny because Sean Connery, he's got that kind of sly sideways smile. He's like,
see, I disagree. I thought Daniel Craig doing the. I think if he had done the last two Bonds, in the cornier way that he did this Bond, then it was brilliant. I think if you're looking at the three Bonds as sort of a new separate Bond restart, then I agree that the last one in the style is sort of too cheesy different to be sort of right with the other two. But it's not. It's like the 23rd film in a 50-year-old series, and you've got to look at it over the whole thing, in which case this one was more like the older ones, and that's why I thought it was better.
Assuming that they're a 23 film-long franchise as opposed to like a restart.
Yeah.
The introduction of Daniel Craig made it into a much more serious character, a more kind of rounded character. He was so dry and so flat. He didn't have any interesting character development. He got shot and then had a drinking problem. I mean,
Yeah,
that was fine.
Well, no, I don't think that was. That makes him slightly...
It didn't make sense
That
as
makes
to
him
how
slightly
he suddenly
dull
started
and dry.
telling shit jokes.
Well,
But
it's the Bond way. You've got to have it. In a
You
Bond
don't.
film. I think you do.
can have good jokes. There were good jokes in the last two. They made sense.
No,
These other ones were really, really rubbish.
No, I disagree.
And I don't
think,
like it at all.
I think you're, I think you're wrong.
think that some parts of the film were just there so that they could have, look at us, we've had 50 years of Bond. Now it's time to bring out the old car.
Yeah,
bring out the old M.
That's
And isn't she a lovely old woman?
That's the trap that they fall into when a franchise goes on for so long. But I thought it was fine. I don't think there was a problem with that at all. I really liked it. Like the introduction of the old car, I thought was really good because they make a point.
Like that.
They make a point.
That was cool. Apart from the fact that they pretend that it's a huge thing.
Well, no, they make a point.
They could have just made it. Oh, I've got my own car. Why don't I go get that instead of having a thing with traces on it? And then it's like, look at this amazing old car. Oh, I do like the classics. Yes, the classics are amazing.
Well, I don't think they did. I don't think they did.
They played it up a bit.
No, not really. They saw the car and then they got in the car, and the car doesn't feature a massive amount of the film.
No, it doesn't
really. But
it's just that one scene.
But also, there's the bit at the beginning where he's meeting Q, and he gets given a tracker and a gun, and he's like, "Oh, well, is this it?" Like, no, we don't do the exploding pens anymore. For a start, I thought that was quite funny.
It wasn't funny.
I thought that was pretty good. And then I like the fact that they make this point at the beginning. They make the point through the whole film that sort of maybe Bond and M are getting on. They make the point that, you know, it's just simple. You've got a tracker, you've got a gun. It's a lot simpler. And there's all this stuff about how like MI6 and secret agents and stuff, and, you know, enemies in the shadows are all a bit old-fashioned. They do all that, and then they bring out the car with its machine guns in the front and its ejector seat. It's a good everything's going bad and everything's a bit old-fashioned, and then Bond just says, here's my car with machine guns in the front. Turns out it's really going to help. And I really liked it. I thought it was a good... I just generally... We could argue about Bond all day, but we've been arguing for about 10 minutes. We should probably move on.
Yeah. It's not a good film.
It is a good film. Quick shout out to Gordon. My main man, Gordon.
Who's Gordon? I've never heard of Gordon before.
Man I met down the road. Just thought I'd mention him.
So, how many times...
I've met
Do you
him
know
once.
Gordon personally?
No, I don't. No.
You've spent some significant amount of time with him.
No.
You've gotten to know him. You know what he likes, dislikes. You know,
No.
gotten friendly with him.
He thought
you know.
I was my brother, and then he said, "My name's Gordon," and he drove off. That's fine.
Ah, okay.
You're doing Movember, which makes you look funny.
Yes. In the pub last night, someone said I looked like Freddie Mercury. I don't think they weren't talking to me. They were talking about me. As I
I said at the pub last night that I think if you were a little bit shorter and you had black hair and you were in sort of a tux, then you look like Manuel.
That's quite a lot of reasons.
Manuel from Fawlty Towers.
That's quite a lot of differences between me and Manuel.
You'd get close if you just wore the tux, but not quite there. Your hair's not dark enough.
Okay.
Because it was sort of, you don't really look like Basil Fawlty, so out of the two, you look more like Manuel. And also,
my eyes aren't sunken in enough, and I have too much hair.
Also, the fact that you were sort of waiting on tables made Manuel fit better.
I did feel like a monkey in the eyes of these customers sometimes.
Oh, I want to talk quickly about Fergie time, just because I find it quite entertaining.
Oh yeah, we talked about that earlier.
Yeah. Fergie time, which
It's not that
I'm
interesting.
sure
I'll.
you don't think it's that interesting. I love it. Is the theory really that teams, mainly Man United, get more added time if they
But
need
you
it.
said Man City.
No, Man United.
Oh, okay.
Get more added time at the end of the game if they need it. And recently, people have done all these statistics and stuff like that, and found that they generally do get nearly a minute and a half longer than some other teams, which I thought was rather entertaining, really.
But that's an average. I mean, overall.
Well, an average over 3 seasons is quite a wait. And I thought, yeah, I find it hilarious because you always, even as someone who's, I'm not a massive Man U fan. I like them out of the bigger teams, but I'm my local club, and I've watched games where it's been like 4 minutes of added time. Man United have been drawing, and then this 4 minutes has turned into 5.5, and they've won the game in this last minute and a half. I just thought it was. I love that they've done the test and found that actually there's a slight element of truth behind it, even if referees aren't meaning to do it.
And then what did that other referee say? Something about...
He said that you've got the pressure on a referee in big games means that it's easier to make mistakes and it's easier to add more time on than you mean to and things like that, which I think is understandable, really, because if you're under pressure in anything, it's very easy to make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's exactly the same for a referee. The only irritating difference is for a referee, if you make a mistake, even if it's, you're under so much pressure that anyone would have made this mistake, you've got, in the case of Man United, you've got a stadium with 70-odd thousand people watching you, plus all of the television cameras broadcasting your mistake across the world, which puts even more pressure on you. So the fact they make as few mistakes really as they do is very impressive. It's just a pity that if they make 1 or 2, it gets blown up so much.
Mm-hmm.
I can tell you're not interested, so we'll move on. Maybe someone will listen to this and think, he's got a good point, and make some sort of comment towards us. Not that anyone's done that so far.
No, I guess not. What was that face for?
Oh,
Chris just pulled a face like he was, I don't know, passing a baby and tasting arsenic at the same time.
I never want to see anyone do that.
Well, I just did.
It's just cold tea.
If that's what happens when you drink cold tea, I don't want to see what happens when you're tasting poison. Which we will test at some point.
Yes, I'm sure we will. If I keep stealing your chair.
Yeah. Do you want to play Cities in Motion when we're done with this?
Yeah, can do.
Oh, I would need to download it first. So it might take a while. Yeah, don't worry about it.
We'll play Splunk again.
If you want. Oh, quick announcement. I said there were a load of planet-side keys for the beta. The beta ended on the same day as the podcast went out.
Oh.
So, I mean, the game's out now and it's free to play. So literally anyone can play the game.
Oh, so it doesn't matter too much.
Yeah, it's not really a problem. And, whatevs.
Well, it was good while it lasted for that small period of time. Although last week was when we recorded it midweek and then sent it out.
Yeah, we recorded it way before instead because we didn't have time.
That's no problem then. I was going to apologise for lots of things this week, but I can't remember what most of them were.
Yeah. I remember you saying, and I
one of them was
remember
almost
not caring because it was funny.
One of them was almost calling John T. LaWolf from Campus, almost calling him Geordie LaForge from Star Trek.
Yeah.
Apologise for that. I apologise for calling Matt LeBlanc Matt LeBlack.
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
I did that once.
I was thinking about correcting you while you were talking, and then I gave up and decided that it was funny.
I think there are more, but I can't remember them. If I think of them, I'll bring them up next week.
Oh yeah.
You're right there. You're tired. Anyone who, not that anyone does follow me on Twitter, but anyone who listens to this and follows me on Twitter, if you do both, you'll notice that each week before we do the podcast, I play a game of Will Josh Be Awake at 11 a.m. So far, it's 2-0 to being asleep. So there are 2 pictures on my Twitter of Josh curled up in bed in his duvet.
It's a comfortable duvet.
Sleeping like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
Most entertaining part, though, is that then sort of he gets shouted at to wake up, I wander off, then come back and it's like, Josh, you're still in bed! Come on! But what are you going to do with that?
At Chris no, fuck off.
I'm playing Poke the Bear this morning. You're sleepy. Which led to Josh trying nipple cripple me.
No, that's because you stole my fucking chair.
And but he didn't get my nipple, he just grabbed skin.
Still hurt, didn't it?
Yeah, it still hurt.
You deserve it.
I disagree.
Mm.
And that one. There we are. Oh, public service announcement. This is my public service announcement.
It's not very public. There are only like 20 people that would listen.
I'm sure if we ever got good enough that if I ever do a public service announcement in the future, we can have like music behind it. But, public service announcement.
Oh wait, no, that's Universal Studios, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's Paramount. No, it's one of them.
Okay.
Oh, it's Fox.
Fox.
Yes.
Anyway,
just naming studios until we get it right.
So, if you are standing on a train platform, it is not necessary for you to pretend you are the Knights Husseini from the Holy Grail. It's not necessary. You're not
but
funny.
You've done it before. You pretended that, you've gone, nee.
Yes.
Nee.
Yes. But they weren't actively saying, hey guys, let's pretend we're the Knights Husseini. They were just making ridiculous noises. If I'd gone over to these children and said, have you seen the Holy Grail? They would have said, no. At which point, it makes the noises they were making on that platform even more irritating. So, yeah, it's sort of on a similar thing is, I was sort of waiting. Sorry, this is going to sound just like a random rant. We were standing on the train platform and there were these kids making really just annoying, really loud, painful
We should have gone up to them.
noises.
Should have gone up to them and said, you must chop down the tallest tree in the forest with a herring.
So, and yeah, they were just being
That was quite loud.
Yeah, they were being really irritating, and yes, it's sort of on a similar line of me last week saying that YOLO is not an excuse.
YOLO.
And I think that's what these kids were probably. Yeah. Anyway, that was my very quick public service announcement. Don't make irritating noises on train platforms if you see me there, because I will get angry. No, I won't say anything. I'll swallow
You're
my
very
anger
passive.
up, and when I'm 42, I'll tell it to my shrink.
Anyway, moving on. Management games. Chris and I talked about Football Manager and how there should be a different themed manager, because I don't care about football.
Oh yeah, we talked about this last week, didn't we?
Yeah.
About Ninja Manager.
Ninja Manager. Chris wants to make one called F1 Manager, and there are a
Yes.
load of them online.
Yeah, there are plenty of them, but the only problem
they're
is...
not licensed.
Well, yeah, it's not only that, it's that there's loads where you do the management side, but it's solely for racing other people online, which is fine, got nothing against that, but
What do you mean racing people online in like a fantasy football kind of thing?
Yeah, sort of. You've got your a fantasy league where you manage each team. That's fine, but my only sort of problem with that is that I would quite like. I'm sure I'm not the only person. Would quite like to have a Formula One manager game where I make my own team, and there's some sort of career mode. I don't want to say story mode, but sort of career mode like you've got in a Football Manager game, where you race against the established teams can build yourself up.
Yeah,
that's what I would quite like. And also, in Football Manager games, you can do well enough with a team that another team wants you. Formula One, there have been race engineers who have done really well in one team and moved to other teams.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really similar, really. And I don't understand why there isn't one, because you can have a game where you have a manager story mode, and then just have an option in the game where you can do an online mode, like in the majority of games.
Mm-hmm.
So, but there isn't one. So I would, if I could be bothered, I would like to make one myself.
Well, we've been playing around with something called Construct 2, and it's pretty simple in 2D, and it could be used to make. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Be used to make.
Try again. Used to make.
Could be used to make an F1 Manager game.
Yes.
So we're looking into that.
Yeah.
And what else is there? Any more public service announcements?
No, I don't have any actually.
Oh, there was a game jam, which is it was a 7-day thing called Fuck This Jam, and the concept was to make a good version of a genre you hate. So there are lots of sports games on there. There's some puzzle games. So a developer. What games do you hate? Or what kind of games do you hate?
I'll get there. I'm not a big fan of first-person shooters.
Right. So, if you were going to make a first-person shooter, how would you make it good? That's the basic concept of this, and you have 7 days to make it.
How would you pick a game genre you don't like for whatever reason you don't like it, and you make a game in that genre that you would like.
Yes,
Right.
That's the exact idea.
Okay. So if I was making a first-person shooter that I liked,
it would be about F1 racing and football.
No. Or I reckon it would be. This might exist. No idea. It would be zombie based.
Okay.
And
narrowing the field. No, it's still quite a wide field.
Yeah.
There are a million zombie games.
It would it might be. You might say it's similar to Dead Rising. You would be in some sort of scenario which you could pick, say either a school or a shopping centre. Shopping centre's a bit overdone.
To sound like Killing Floor.
I don't know what that is. Anyway.
Or Left 4 Dead.
And you literally, this place would be full busy.
Full busy?
Yeah, full.
Today we are full busy with customers.
I
don't know why I went Indian there.
No. Anyway, and a zombie outbreak would happen somewhere in the school. So we'll say it's at a school. Say a zombie outbreak happens in one classroom, and then
suddenly zombies.
And then say you are a zombie. Say there's threat of an invasion. So all these places have a designated zombie protection man. That's you. You're in the school. You get on a radio message. A zombie outbreak has happened in the staff room. Then
most likely place.
And before this,
statistically,
say you've got 5 minutes before that's definitely going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can do whatever you want in the school.
So you've got to go to the staff room and murder all the teachers.
Right. You can.
I think if you made a game like that, you'd probably be picked up by the police.
No, hang on. You have to walk around, and you can do what you want in those 5 minutes to prepare the school in case this happens. Depending what you do in those 5 minutes and where you go will all depend on how quick the outbreak breaks out and how quick you can get to it. So then it all happens slightly randomly.
Okay, I don't entirely understand what you just said there.
So an outbreak happens in the school. You have 5 minutes to prepare the school for the outbreak. You don't know where the outbreak's going to happen. Depending on how you prepare and where you go will depend on how bad the outbreak is and how quickly you can stop the outbreak from spreading, either resulting in the world being turned into zombies or you stopping the outbreak and you get a score depending on what happens.
Okay. That sounds like a tower defense game to me.
And you can only use weapons that you find in the area that you are. So only weapons you find in the school.
Okay.
Which you can customise. For example,
Cool.
I would break the blade off a guillotine.
Oh, you mean those giant paper cutting things?
Oh, I didn't mean those ones. I meant... Yeah.
So, it's quite small.
Ah, yes. But I would take the blade off and the pole, and I would attach more blades from other guillotines onto the pole, and then...
Use it as a bludgeon.
No, I'm trying to think if there's some sort of...
Anyway.
What sort of thing do you have in a school that would have a motor?
A motor. Well, there would be...
in like DT rooms. Plenty of weapons there. Anyway, that's the sort of thing I would do, but you'd have it in the style of a first-person shooter.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, there was a whole... I think it was last week. There was a whole array of people making games in genres that they didn't like, and so they made really interesting versions. So there's one that's... these guys didn't like virtual board games, so have you played like Monopoly on a computer? It's really dry and not that interactive and stuff. They made it where... so that all of the game pieces were actual things you could click on and drag, and then there was a rule set, but it's not that defined. So, you know, in real life, you have a board, you have the pieces, and you have a rule book. You don't have to follow that rule.
Right, okay.
Because, you know, there's nothing to stop you just throwing the bits across a room.
Yeah. Okay.
And otherwise you can't do that. So they've made it so that each piece on the board you can click and then push it along the board, squares, and there are cards that you can flip over and put in different places, and literally anything you can pick up and put anywhere. So it's a picture of a board, all the pieces are there, click on them, move them, that's it.
Just had another idea for a new first-person shooter.
No,
you'll like this one. Monopoly Zombie.
No, okay.
No, just hear me out.
No.
Hear me out.
I really... Oh.
You play through Monopoly, but it's in a first-person...
You're being chased by zombies.
No, yeah, and it's in a first-person shooter style. So you start at go, of course, and this is set in a suburban area where all the houses and areas are the different positions on the Monopoly board. Right,
God.
hang on. So say you roll and you're at the station, you then get to the station and you have to defend it from zombies until your turn is over, when you can roll again and keep going. It's not actually too bad now I'm thinking it through more.
So like Mario Party, but with zombies.
Yeah, and when you have... but it's slightly different in that if you successfully get through X amount of waves on a station, on an area, then that is yours. So then when other people go there, they have to pay you rent.
That's pretty good, actually.
I think
okay.
we've been jabbering for enough today, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so. So, thanks for listening. What else can we say? Chris's Twitter is @ChrisCo4491.
Yeah.
And mine is @Bootsy___.
No, it's right. Don't worry.
Good one.
I was then going to say and then say a random person's Twitter is, but I've taken too long to sort of try and figure it out, so I don't think it's really worth it.
There are also other people on Twitter called Bootsy, but I think they're all gangsters.
And Simon Pegg is @SimonPegg.
Brilliant. Well done.
Thank you.
Okay, time to wrap up. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Sweet.
Bye.
Sweet.
Bye.
No, I think we're done.
Yeah, we are done.
No, we are definitely done.
No, you're done. Like a turkey.
Yo,
I'm gonna go get the stuffing.
no,
No, it's
too far.
yeah, it's too far. I went too far.